Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Nabila Binti Mansur. With my partner, we will present to you our research study is a factor influencing household behavior in managing food waste among Malaysians. Okay, we will start with the research background. Food waste can be defined as a food for human consumption is discarded, whether or not it is kept beyond its priority dates and left to spoil. Food wastage has become a crucial and huge problem in every country around the world, including developing countries such as Malaysia. Malaysia has weighed 50,000 tons of food daily, including 3,000 tons that are still cooked for consumption and should not have to be discarded. Municipal solid waste (MSW) produced in Malaysia was 7.34 million tons in 2005, and it is predicted to increase to 10.9 million tons by 2020, and 60% is a fruit and vegetable. Food wastage problem has happened because of the shopping routine, leftover use routine, and also food choice. Therefore, the research aimed to study the factor influence food waste behavior toward household in Malaysia.
We move to the problem segment. According to the Solid Waste Management and Public Cleansing Corporation state, in 2020, food waste in Malaysia is likely to 16 Twin Tower and about 16,688 tons of food waste in Malaysia. And this happened due to the size of the household, which is a single household leak more food waste in Malaysia. And second is age of household, which is young people tend to make more food waste rather than old age. Third is lack of knowledge among Malaysian people, which is knowledge on the food labeling or having a good shopping routine. And according to the Barbie 2080 state that lack of knowledge is drive in food waste behavior. And lastly is household attitude, which is Malaysian people is always influenced to the promotion by the supermarket, like buy one get one, bulk discount, and large portion of food that tend then to buy more food than the needed. Research objective for this study is to examine the influence of shopping routine, leftover use routine, food choice on the level of food waste behavior among Malaysian households. And the research question is whether there is any relationship between shopping routine, leftover use routine, and food choice on the level of food waste behavior among Malaysian households.
Okay, we will continue with the conceptual frameworks. As my partner just said right now, there are 3 independent variables and 1 dependent variable. First independent variable is a shopping routine. Shopping routine influence food waste behavior can be proved by the Agovino, Ferraro, and Marani 2020. They state that food waste happen regarding individual behavior, consumer routine that related to shopping and consumption constitute. It lead food over provisioning during shopping. Strategy promotional offer from supermarket also lead individual wasteful behavior by more than their need. And for the hypothesis is H0 is there is no relationship between shopping routine and food waste behavior, while H1 is there is relationship between shopping routine and food waste behavior. And the second independent variable is a leftover use routine. Leftover use routine can influence food waste behavior can be proved by the Koronje 2018. He stated that leftover was the most wasted food in the household because people tend to throw the leftover rather than use it again. By the hypothesis is H0 there is no relationship between leftover use routine and food waste behavior, while H1 is there is relationship between leftover use routine and food waste behavior. And for the third independent variable is food choice. Food choice can influence food waste behavior by the attitudes of consumers who are too inclined to choose food based on appearance causes an increase in food waste, according to the INOS 2019. And for the hypothesis is H0 is there is no relationship between the food choice and food waste behavior by the why the H1 is there is a relationship between the food choice and food waste behavior. Okay, we will continue with the research methodology. Firstly is a research design. We choose a quantitative method for our research design, whereby it can help us to collect the large amounts of data for the generalization of data to be achieved. And for the unit of analysis, the study was aimed to determine the factor that influence household behavior in managing food waste. Unit analysis was distributed to select individual Malaysian household. And for the sample size, the sample for this study is a 384. A final and valid sample include 326 responded among Malaysian household. And for the response rate is 84.90%. And for the sampling technique, we have chosen non-probability sampling. Under the non-probability sampling is a convenience sampling. For this study, we use the convenience sample technique because the survey question has been distributed to Malaysian people who are conveniently available to provide them. And for the measurements or instrument, we have chosen a Likert scale as our scale of measurements, whereby it will provide a label from 1 until 5. And for 1 is a strongly disagree, 2 is a disagree, 3 is a neutral, 4 is a agree, and 5 is a strongly agree. And for the data collection is they are consist of 3 sections, which is section A is a demographic that is consist of 5 questions regarding a profile of the respondent itself, while the section B is a consist of 5 questions regarding of a knowledge of the food waste. And for the section C is a consist of 14 questions regarding of the shopping routine, leftover use routine, and also a food choice. And the lastly is data analysis. The data analysis, we have chosen a percent correlations.
For the finding on the study, we got 326 respondents. They answer our survey, and majority is female with the percentage 64.1, and second is for the age, the highest percentage is 61.0, which is more respondent is 18 until 20 years old, and majority respondent are having more than 3% of the household size with the percentage 67.5. And a majority respondent are undergraduated person with the percentage 33.7, and lastly the occupation, the majority is others with the percentage is 28.2. The main finding for this study, there are 3 objectives, and these 3 objectives we use percent correlation. And the first objective is to examine the influence shopping routine on food waste. And from the result, we can see that there are no relationship between shopping routine and food waste. With the R value is negative 0.080 and the P value is 0.151. And the second objective is to examine the influence leftover use routine on food waste. And we can see there are relationship between the leftover use routine and food waste, with the R value is 0.000 and the P value is 0.287. And the last objective is to examine the influence food choice on food waste. And they are also having a relationship between between the food choice and food waste, with the R value is 0.000 and the P value is 0.282. And we can conclude that leftover use routine and food choice having a relationship and influence food waste, because the R value is less than 0.005. We move to the research implication. There are some of the recommendations that we state. First, innovation and collaboration, which is made a collaboration with the manufacturing, retailer or supermarket to buy product that they want to throw due to the product having a damage or product closely to the expired date, to distribute to the other people, or to innovate product to become a food. Second is educating people, which is educate people in early age to create more awareness or spread more information on social media about food labeling, spending wisely, and encourage people to look for the expired date before buy food. And third recommendation is promote to art, which is reduce, reuse, and recycle. By encourage people to reduce the amount of spending and encourage people to reuse back their leftover meal or ingredient to make another food. And lastly, encourage people to recycle the food waste to become a organic fertilizer by compost the food waste. And next recommendation is workshop for food management, which is collaborate with the government, NGO, or people by hire a speaker to give a tip on how to reduce food waste. By giving a tip on having a good shopping routine, like make a list before go to shopping, make an inventory list, and this can reduce food waste. And lastly is changing habit and emotion, which is habit on shopping routine, and control the emotion during shopping routine or eat.
Okay, we continue with the research limitations. Firstly is a limited sample. The sample number come only from a household among Malaysian. Furthermore, only 326 respondents took this survey. Other factors that could influence the study result includes household bias and assumptions about their behavior in managing food waste, and some of the respondents who may not have stated truthful answer to keep their feedback confidential. Other possibilities that may influence the result of this study. The researcher recommend that this study should be replicated by another groups of household, preferably among Malaysians who seek to examine the factor influencing household behavior in managing food waste among Malaysians through shopping routine, leftover use routine, and food choice. The Malaysian household will use this type of study to examine the finding possible validity in order to improve their behavior in managing food waste, while also focusing on way to reduce the quantity of food waste. And the second limitation is a limited of model. For this research, there were only 3 independent variables and 1 dependent variable that have been testing. When the research have a limited model of the question, it will give a fewer encouraging result for this study. The researcher recommend another variable for future research, like a lifestyle, lack of awareness, and knowledge about food waste, age, and also on. And thirdly is the weakness of the quantitative study. Quantitative research is complex, difficult, and require a lot of time for the study to be conducted, and to ensure total randomizations and accurate determinations of control groups. The form of study were carefully planned for the representations of the selected sample. The majority of respondents were sufficient. A researcher had to distribute survey on many platforms in order to find a researcher to answer the question that were provided. The use of Google Form is also quite challenging for the researchers, because the researchers need to prepare the question carefully so that there is no error in the preparation of the questions, and they need to check the question that provided regularly so that there are no error. For the future research, a researcher recommended to using a qualitative research, as it can save time and also money. It also focuses on a group and individuals. By using a qualitative research, a researcher can find out the behavior and the attitude of the respondent as they follow the survey. In conclusion, the study has successfully met all the research objectives posed to examine the factor influencing household behaviour in managing food waste among Malaysians, which shopping routine, leftover use routine and food choice are factors always influence food waste generated by the people. And from the survey data, the researcher can conclude that there are two factors which are leftover use routine and food choice that influence food behaviour in Malaysia, and shopping routine not influence food waste behaviour in Malaysia. Shopping routine not having a relationship with food waste behaviour because batch shopping routine happen when people having a large money, but nowadays people only buy a needed food due to the economic crisis and pandemic, because a lot of people facing the economic problem and they have more thrifty during the shopping. That's all from us. Thank you.